bit of news and lifestyle mixed together. I want to talk a little bit about something that happened on February 3rd. The USDA barred the public from viewing public records, a database, including those of licensed dog and cat breeding facilities. Now, after some backlash and review on February 7th, they announced they would determine which of the information they would go over and then determine what would be appropriate for posting. So today, the Animal Plant Health Inspection Service posted their first batch of annual reports, and those were for research institutions and inspections under the Animal Welfare Act. So to start the show, we're really going to talk about animals and what it means for you as a pet owner and consumer. So we're really going to go back to those pet inspections and breeders reports and what it means to not have access to those files. So I'd like to introduce our first guest. Heather Gutshall is here. She's the owner of Outbound Hounds, and she also has founded Handsome Dan's. Hi Heather, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Good, it's so good to see you.
Yes,
Thank you for joining us.
Sure.
And you're actually going to be here a couple times a month as our pet expert.
Very excited.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this. We're going to get into some nitty gritty here about what it means to not have access to this list as a consumer and as a pet owner. You know, we really care about animals.
Right.
You and I both.
Right.
So what does it mean for people to not be able to have access to this list? Why is it important?
Well, as a consumer, if you were, say, going to, you decided, you and your family have decided that you're going to go to a breeder and get a puppy, you may want to look and see if that breeder has any violations reported with this list, on this list. Or if you say are going to go to a pet shop, which we hope you end up adopting, but if you go to a pet shop, you may want to make sure that that pet shop is only importing animals from reputable places. Puppy mills are a very real issue that we have in animal welfare. Horrible, deplorable conditions, and so we want to make sure that as a consumer, that you are, getting a puppy with sound genetic background, not supporting, an industry that is, inhumane to the parents of the animals.
And so what some concerns were with this is that without the database, public really can't find out if dogs or cat breeders are abusing animals within the facility. So that's
Absolutely.
really where the discussion has come about. And so that's been a problem. Is you can't see where the animals are coming
Right.
from, and you can't see if the animals are being abused or neglected.
Absolutely. Towns and municipalities can't check to see if, they want to have any kind of bans on what's sold in their town. I know, Warren recently and East Providence have already stepped up and said that they're not going to have puppies sold in their towns. I'm sure that information was very helpful in deciding, our organization's going to be selling animals that have imported them from facilities that did have violations on that list. So.
And you've worked a lot with not only clients and their animals, but you also do a lot of rescue work with Handsome Dan. So you've seen what it's like for animals to go through some serious hardship. So
Absolutely.
People might not necessarily realize, puppy mills, how bad they are, but what are puppy mills and why are they so bad?
Right. So, there are reputable breeders out there that, don't breed a mom on the first teat. Don't breed the dogs, in their homes. They are, receiving proper socialization, nutrition, vet care, things like that. And then there are these factories where, dogs are bred over and over, kept, living in their own urine, feces, in cages that are too small. Frequently with wire bottoms where their claws are forced to kind of grow around, receiving, limited access to water and food in some cases. HSUS and the ASPCA, Best Friends, if you Google puppy mills in any of those organizations,
Yeah.
you can see large rescue efforts where, just deplorable conditions, little to no socialization, and these are social animals, and, just horrible conditions, and both in wearing my hat as an animal rescuer and also as a dog trainer. I've seen and worked with many survivors of puppy mills. So these are the moms and the dads of those cute puppies that you may see in the pet store. Many of them just shut down, fearful, horrible, horrible, lifetime medical issues after not having been treated. And then, the sad part is that the products of these, frequently those puppies, they don't have proper socialization. From a genetic standpoint, a lot of them are going to have those lifetime issues.
And that's something you really want to think about when you're going to get a dog or a cat. Because I think a lot of people think, oh, I want a social animal. I want someone to be a friend with. And then when they get the animal, they think, well, this isn't going the way I want it to. So they come to you as a trainer,
right? And
then you have a whole host to work with.
Absolutely. I mean, I had a client a couple of years ago who had in her eyes, she had rescued a puppy from a pet store. The puppy had been adopted out, but then returned by the first owners, and so it was half price. She got the puppy. It had such cognitive dysfunction that it was a German Shepherd. It was going to grow up and likely be unsafe through no fault of its own. Poor breeding and lack of that early socialization and stuff. So, it's unfortunate. And as a consumer, you really want to do your homework, which brings us back to this list.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that if you don't have regulations out there, then you don't really know where the animals are coming from. And
Absolutely.
even if people like us don't know that there are lists in place, you were saying towns and municipalities can still have access like this and do the regulation for us.
Right. And you can, there's the argument, well, this list is taken away, you can still submit a request, the Freedom of Information Act to get this information, but the problem is in many circumstances that can take months and years, and is the consumer really going to do that? Is that town or municipality going to wait to act based on that information? If they have to, let's just put it back to where it's easy to access. We've had it for this list has been there for decades.
So let's talk a little bit about, we touched on puppy mills. Let's talk a little bit about backyard breeding, because that's also an issue that's so relevant. And then you see dogs and cats pop up on not Facebook, but on Craigslist. Yeah. That's such an issue. And why do you warn people against that, or do you encourage people to go look for dogs like that to save them?
No, I mean, I really think that you need to. There is that argument. Well, if I buy from the pet store, if I rescue that dog that's been produced through backyard breeding, I'm saving that one dog. But you're probably getting yourself into some more issues than you want, and you're more importantly supporting that industry. If it's usually not great for the parents in any regard with that. But yeah, that backyard breeding, we have a lot of that here in Rhode Island, definitely in Providence, and working towards putting measures in place to regulate that more than what it is right now. But it's a work in progress.
What would you like to see change to regulate that?
Well, I'd like, right now, I believe, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I believe that you can change the ages of when the puppies need to be vaccinated to be sold. So, when you get a puppy, you want it to have the proper vaccines, have stayed with its mother long enough. You want it to have received that socialization, so that when it's older, it's not terrified of say snow or terrified of brooms, because the breeder knew enough to make sure that you were socializing it during that early socialization period, to make sure that it was receiving what it needed so that it could be a happy, healthy puppy. I think if more vaccines were required earlier on, not earlier on, but in order to sell them, they'd have to stay longer, and I think that's something that's I'm not exactly sure what that's being worked on now, but I know that Providence Animal Control and the Rhode Island SPCA have been meeting to talk about working on that.
And it's really a matter of, you want to know where the dogs are coming from, where the cats are coming from, where the animals are coming from, and to get the background on the parents.
Right, absolutely. I mean, so many of these issues that I see through working with clients are genetic issues. People are shocked to realize that while it is important to raise a puppy or a kitten, under the ideal circumstances, a lot of these issues are genetic. So, we have, for instance, my dog was raised in the dog fighting world. He is a wonderful dog. So he did have, poor genetic stuff and wasn't given the right the right socialization at an early age and medical care and all that. So I'm not saying that they can't turn out to be wonderful pets. They absolutely can, but I think the average consumer, unless they're someone who's really just keep your eyes open and understand what you're getting yourself into. If you don't know all of this information about the animal before you're acquiring it, you may end up with a lot of issues. And you want to know what industry you're supporting if you're purchasing an animal. So.
And if you're not purchasing an animal, adoption might be a good option.
Absolutely. Right? That would always be my preference. Right. We have so many, animals that don't have homes that are, wonderful animals. And what's great about a lot of the animals that we have for adoption, especially here in southern New England, have been evaluated by folks like myself. You're not getting that with puppies that you're buying from a pet store or from Craigslist. So they're coming with evaluations from folks that do this professionally, and some of them may come with free training, or some of them are coming with help to integrate them into the home, things like that.
And you do a ton of work not only as a trainer but with Handsome Dan.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about Handsome Dan. And we're showing some of these dogs.
Sully.
Sully's blind. Heather sent me this email with these pictures of these dogs. I was like, does Sully have eyeballs? Sully does not have eyeballs.
He does not. Right, so Handsome Dan's Rescue is a rescue that I founded, named in honor of my dog, who was rescued from Michael Vick's dogfighting case. Our organization focuses on dogs in two categories: local dogs who are not likely candidates for adoption based on medical and/or behavioral reasons, as well as victims of large-scale dogfighting. So we're talking about locally these dogs that may need a little more to get adopted, like they don't have eyeballs, things like that.
He doesn't have eyes.
So this is Sully, and then this is Ava, and I believe, and then this is Dozer. So, three great local dogs that are available for adoption. Dozer's an older guy. He's amazing. He's great with dogs, cats, kids. He's wonderful, but he's an older guy. Sully, as you see there, he's also wonderful, but because he has that disability, people are a little less likely to adopt him. He does come with free private training, and that is mandatory. He's at the North Smithfield Animal Control. He's got a huge army of folks through the Friends group and the shelter who are in love with him, and you can see why when you meet him. He's wonderful. Sully, he's great. And that's Ava. She's at Cranston Animal Control. She doesn't like other dogs, so that has been a bit of a hindrance in getting her adopted, but she's amazing with people, with children. She's playful and fun and funny and active, and they can go to handsomedansrescue.org if they're interested in learning more about those dogs.
And to get more information on Handsome Dan's, or if you want any more information on Heather and some of her training. And you touched on this as well, is that when you go through some rescue organizations, usually you get some vetting. And so when you evaluate dogs or you welcome them into your training, I'm curious, how do you evaluate them?
Well, it depends. I mean, some folks hire me. So I wear two hats. I have the training business and then the rescue. Some organizations hire me to evaluate animals, and then also we evaluate them before we put them into any of our programs. We have several different programs within Handsome Dan's Rescue. I generally use the ASPCA SAFER evaluation protocol. It's just kind of one that most professionals can read over quickly, and we're talking the same language. So we use that or a modified version of that. Yeah, so it's basically a predictor of aggression and making sure that everything is okay, and with the dog everything's safe. And if not, we put together a plan to help to work on those issues.
Great. All right, Heather, thank you so much. Thank you for enlightening us on kind of some background on just the USDA and really what you should look for when you're looking into a pet, if you're going to buy, what you're looking for when it comes to a breeder, if you're looking at a pet store, or if you're going the adoption route. And if you want more information on Handsome Dan's, you can check out their website, or if you're looking for a trainer, you can check out Heather's website as well. So thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it, of course, and we'll hear more from you coming up in a little bit. So thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it, Heather, and we'll catch up with you later.
Okay,
great. Thanks again.